One of the most dangerous risk takers ever in the WWE steps up for a one-on-one today. It's Rob Van Dam like you've never seen him before. We ask him about his reckless style, the push he never got, and the rise and fall of the ECW. He's Mr. Pay-Per-View, Mr. Monday Night, the whole effing show. He's RVD, and he's next.
Rob Van Terminator!
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight.
We work so hard every day to create an interesting show, and then every once in a while it hits us. Just bring out a big wrestler, and people will automatically watch. We got a big wrestler today, Rob Van Dam. Nice to see you.
Good to be me.
You Well, we'll explore what being Rob Van Dam exactly is. Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks, man. That doesn't mean you're going to be inside my shirt and stuff, is it?
We can go any place we want. We control this interview.
You think you can go any place you want? I might put the brakes.
You're hurt and vulnerable.
Vulnerable? We'll see. I don't feel vulnerable. I feel tough. I feel like kicking some ass.
Okay, well, speaking of that, you are obviously a huge talent. No one who does not respect wrestlers doesn't respect your ability in the ring. Does it bug you, though, that you don't really compete? That you really need someone else to endorse you to give you a push to the top? That piss you off?
Well, in a way it does, but those are just the facts, and that's kind of the way it is, and so that's kind of the game and the way that it is. So to get ahead does take more than just having in-ring skill. You know, personally, myself...
Are you frustrated?
No, not right now.
Have you been frustrated over the years?
My fans are frustrated for me. When I came into WWE, yes, there was an adjustment period, and I got extremely frustrated. And I think that I made the adjustments, you know. And the fans miss seeing me in ECW when I used to go all out, you know, 30 minutes a night. I was the whole effing show, and I was fighting in the crowd with weapons every night. It's not about that now. It's different, but it's cool. I think I've made the most with my new perimeters and new boundaries.
People say that you don't wrestle WWE style, and this is a quote from you. I don't want to fit in. To tell you the truth, I'm not a fan of a lot of other wrestlers' work. That's what you said. What'd you mean?
Oh, that's absolutely true. I've never patterned myself after somebody else. And before my first match, when I was just training with the original Sheik way back in '89 to become a pro wrestler, in my mind, I wanted to do moves that I hadn't seen done before, that I could visualize, and that I thought would be entertaining to watch. And I've always tried to do what I would want to see if I bought a ticket and was sitting in the crowd.
Does it bug you that the WWE relies on and often pushes really hard for guys who are old and past it, just because they still continue to have the name, whereas opposed to a guy like you, who's far more athletic, far more dynamic in the ring, doesn't get that same push?
Yes, honest, short answer is yes, of course that's bothersome. And it's not just WWE, but it is, obviously that's where I am, and that's what wrestling is about right now, you know. But throughout my whole career, I've always found, you know, that being young and having a different style like I was, I've always felt like the comfortable, set-in older wrestlers were always afraid that I was going to come in, change the standards, and make them work harder.
And make them look bad also. Because
they're not going to be able to keep up.
They can't do that, right?
No,
they
exactly.
can't do the things you do.
And they don't need to. They've got their own place, too, so they don't even need to be afraid of that, really.
Who do you look at and say, you know what, I like that guy's style, I like what he does?
Rey Mysterio, my partner in the ring. I mean, he's very exciting to watch.
Chris Benoit? I mean, I would imagine you've got to be a Benoit fan.
I would say, you know, when it comes down to ring skill, you know, he could be the best, honestly, in my opinion. I've watched him. I remember watching him when I was in Japan working for a different company way back, like in '94, and I was just like, this guy's phenomenal.
What does wrestling need right now? I mean, wrestling does this all the time, and it's an industry with natural ups and natural downs. It's not really at the top right now. What do you think it needs to get the push to the top again?
That's an easy one. In my opinion, we need to go back to enhancing the wrestlers. Enhancing isn't the right word for that.
Because that's a dangerous word. Performance enhancement is a whole different issue.
They used to be called enhancement matches, where you would have a big superstar against, you know, Joe Blow, right? And that went away when we had the Monday Night Wars, right? And then at that point, every single match was a main event, from the bottom to the middle to the top of the show. You got to have two main superstars wrestling each other. One big superstar is going to have to lose. One's going to win. There's going to be all kinds of complications there on the right way to do that, to politically get out of that, beating a big superstar. And the truth is, back in the day when it was whoever, maybe Big John Studd against like 2 guys at a time, or when it was Leaping Lanny Poffo against whoever, Bret Hart, whoever. Even if as a fan you knew, okay, this guy's really not going to win, he's going to get his ass kicked, but still the idea was you're watching that superstar show what he's got, and that's what wrestling is. When I'm in the wrestling ring, that time for me is an exhibition of my talents, my athletic abilities. That's all that it should be. So if you put me in the ring with somebody that's not so worried about getting themselves over in the same respect, but if that match is designed for me to show my fans, look at all these kick-ass moves that RVD can do, then you might want to buy a ticket to see me wrestle against this other main eventer in an upcoming match. But when every single match is a main event from the bottom till the end, in my opinion, that's what's killing it. There's no more Monday Night Wars. You don't need to be that way anymore. We need to go back and showcase the individual wrestlers as the big superstars that they are. That's what's missing.
So set me a matchup right now that if you were booking Monday night, that this is the way you would book it.
Okay, a match for me, for instance. I mean, like I'm saying, you could get anybody, Joe Blow, whoever. I mean, if you want to pick somebody.
Give me a name to make this
How about
interesting.
Paul London? Paul London's really good, and he's a bit of a superstar. So this, I'm gonna step this up a little bit, because first I would say Bill Jones, some guy you don't even know that's local in Toronto, RVD versus Bill Jones. Well, it's a television match, okay? And your people are going to be there anyway. They're coming to watch the Raw or SmackDown, whatever it is, the television event. And in that particular match, I'm going to come out smoking. I'm going to show you all my moves. I'm going to be showing you flips and stuff that you haven't even seen, because I'm going to be dancing around this fool. Put me in there. I mentioned Paul London because he's a step up. He's also a superstar. He's not some scrub. I don't want to say that he's like Joe Blow or whoever that other guy is that I just beat. But at the same time, I could bring something out of him.
So you're an observer. You watch it and you give some thought as to how the industry can grow itself. I'm intrigued to know.
You have to. I've been in it for 15 years.
A lot of guys probably don't think of it
opinions.
beyond that, but I'm interested to know, and don't give me the answer right now, whether it needs to get back to the old ECW style, real hardcore stuff. We'll talk with a real hardcore guy, Rob Van Dam, and we'll find out when you're going to return to the ring.
Will it happen? The Fan Terminator!
Thumbs up for what? You like that?
Thumbs in for Rob Van Dam.
You're a risk taker, right?
Yes, but not as much as you would think so, because my field of comfortableness is so much wider range than somebody else that I don't feel like I'm taking as much of a risk as somebody else because I can do it.
What do you think of Kurt Angle's comments when he says, and I'm reading you a quote, "They almost ruined the business as a whole. Fans started to expect everybody and everyone to go through tables and get hung by barbed wire, and it just really pulled the business back years and years." He's talking about ECW and, to some extent, your influence.
Yes, no doubt about it. I never hung anybody with barbed wire or anything like that, but for sure we were out there to give an alternative option to the fans and say, look, you can watch that show if you want to, but if you want to see what wrestling could be, check us out. And the truth is, most wrestlers couldn't do what we were doing, and they wouldn't have survived. You know, Kurt stopped by ECW. I think he was looking for a job or something one night, and maybe it wasn't for him. A lot of wrestlers came and gone because the physical abuse that our bodies would take was heightened and upgraded even beyond the level of normal professional wrestling.
Wrestling's dangerous, right? I mean, wrestlers get injured all the time. Are you part of the reason why, though? Because when you raise the bar, when you do something and all of a sudden that becomes the standard of what fans want, other guys are forced to get up to that top step on the ladder as well.
They're not actually. They feel like they need to keep up, but the thing is, if they have something to offer the business, that's what they have to offer. What I have to offer is something completely different. I don't want anybody doing my moves anyway.
How are you feeling these days?
I feel great. I feel fine.
You had knee reconstruction.
Yep,
we were talking before. ACL,
therapy.
MCL. When are you going to return?
ACL and my meniscus, and I'm figuring I'll be
You want full
cleared
credit
in
for all
August.
your knee injuries, right?
Well, I didn't get my MCL. I don't want to give a false report out there. My MCL is fine, dude. You should see my MCL.
Is that an option for me? To see your MCL?
You did say you were going wherever you wanted, so we're going to get to that later.
There's a lot of places I'd like to go. That's probably not one of them. Now, your knee
I don't want to get told this.
Your knee was bothering you for 4 years?
Yeah.
Isn't that one of the problems of what you do, that you can't take time off, right? That you make yourself vulnerable?
We have no time to get injured because we've got no time to recuperate.
But you do get injured. I mean, that's just a fallacy when you say, or that's just a wives' tale to say, we can't get hurt because we don't have time to heal. You guys do get hurt.
Yeah, but it depends on your definition of hurt. To me, hurt means I cannot continue. And I go years and years and years, and I tell people, I don't get hurt. That's for the other people. Obviously, I can't say that right now. I did get hurt to the extent to where I couldn't continue. I had to take some time off. It happens very rarely. One other time in my entire career, I sat out for 2 or 3 months with a broken ankle. This is the first surgery that I've ever had.
Insecurity when you're out, thinking the business will forget me, that you'll go back and your place won't be there. I mean, that's natural for anyone.
Not at all. Not at all. And I realized that it's an option. It is a possibility, especially because right when I got injured, some of the guys were let go recently, you know, like Test, as a matter of fact. You know, he got surgery on his neck and stuff. And I realized, you know, they could, I don't think they're going to, but they could cut me while I'm off, because while I'm off, they're paying me. I'm sitting home watching TV, and I'm taking a check to the bank every week, and someo's got to be looking at that.
When you're watching TV, are you watching wrestling?
Scrubs. I don't watch the show. I don't watch wrestling.
Is that true?
That is true.
Why?
It's just, it doesn't make my priority list. I TiVo the SmackDown or Raw or ECW when I was on it, and I'll fast forward, I'll go to my match and I'll study my match to figure out what I could do better, you know, get up to the rope faster, you know, pivot, you know, on the whatever. And then I don't enjoy watching the program. I'm watching other guys that I work with do their job. For me, it'd be kind of like, you know, you watching somebody else.
Oh, I'm watching everyone
working.
else.
You watch everyone else
criticizing them every single step of the way.
When you're home, you would do. When you're home, I doubt you'd flip your TV out.
I don't
and
watch
your
this
coworkers.
show. I don't watch any of it.
It's kind of like that, and there's a lot that I don't enjoy that I stay away from, like the soap opera storylines and stuff. Everybody that knows me knows I try hard to run away from that, and I just want to be known.
Do you understand why it's in the business, though, the soap opera storylines?
And I'll tell you what, I think that somebody that doesn't have the athletic skill that I do needs that more than I do. I think we all have our own niche in the business, and I think that since I'm known for being one of, if not the most athletically gifted wrestlers in the business, that's why you don't see me.
In at least one person's mind on this set, you are the most gifted.
At least one, dude.
At least.
My point is, that's why I'm not on TV right now. If I was a character, then as soon as my knee blew out, I'd have to be right back on TV, you know, being on the microphone, talking smack, whatever.
ECW,
I don't do that.
RVD 420. That's what you were known as. What was that?
When RVD 420 brings me back to a time about 97 or 98 in ECW, and I was just starting to really pop as a superstar.
What does 420 mean?
Well, it depends on what 420 means to you. RVD 420, which you asked me about, means that it's time for RVD to get in the ring and do what he does.
Right.
That's totally what it means. And when the fans, whether they're little kids or adults or whatever, when they say RVD 420...
Do I see you with a little bit of a smirk on your face? Are you thinking move on, Landsberg, at this point?
Well, what do you want to talk about?
What does the 420 mean?
It depends on what it means to you. That's what it's all about. It's all about perspective. Believe me, when people are talking about, especially when little kids have a sign and say RVD 420, or they wear the RVD 420 shirt, they're not thinking about anything. They're not thinking about anything other than RVD kicking ass. No, I'm not.
Just say go to break, Landsberg. Just give me one of those.
Dude, time to go to break.
You said dude because you didn't remember my name, did you?
No, you just gave it to me. You said Mike. I'm just joking.
More OTR in a moment. Rob Van Dam, that is risk-taking, right? Like, you're up there, you're on the top rope, you are risking a lot, aren't you?
No doubt. I mean, that particular move right there, that's not one that I'm going to do every single night, and the risk factor in that is higher than probably...
So what are you thinking when you're up there?
I'm up there, and I'm thinking, okay, when I put my weight on the rope to spring off of, my feet could slip, the rope could roll, because it was like a rubber hose over a steel cable that could roll on you. And the worst thing would be if my momentum, instead of winning out over the guardrail, would have been to go out and slip, and I would have landed on the guardrail and probably really, really got hurt. That's what I was thinking.
So are you up there actually thinking, you know, like for that moment, you know, I hope I'm okay?
Here it goes. It's got to be 100%. I have to dip my weight. I have to jump at the right time.
And if not,
go in the right direction. And if not, I'm gonna pay for it. I believe also that I'm tough enough to pay for it. That's the consequences I'm willing to take.
Do you need to be protected from yourself?
No.
You don't think you need to have someone monitoring you and saying, you know what, don't go there. Too risky.
Maybe around the house.
Because that's what employers.
With my wife.
No, but that's what employers do. Employers are responsible. Is Vince not responsible for your health?
Yes, in the sense, you know, that I'm basically like a property that he owns, or you know, temporarily owns.
All employers do. I work in a building. I want to believe that this building is safe, and I would think that you want to believe that if you start to push it too much, someone is going to pull you down.
If you work in this building and you're a mail deliverer, okay, if you're slamming your head into the wall over and over again, sure, someone needs to protect you from yourself. But if you're faster than everybody else and you cover all the offices and you deliver that mail and you cover all the floors, and people are saying, hey, you know what, you need to slow down because you're going to get hurt, and you're going, I've got this, man. I know how fast I am. I'm more comfortable working at this faster pace than you are at your slower pace because I'm used to it. You don't need to protect
Does
it
the
from yourself.
sound of the crowd and the adrenaline and all of that pumping through your veins get you to at least temporarily leave your judgment behind?
I don't believe so. I mean, I plan on that energy that I'm going to feel from the crowd when I'm visualizing before I'm even out there, and I need that. I mean, there's an interaction going on where I'm taking this positive energy from the fans, you know. But I'm out there to show what I've got. The last thing I want to do is go out there and show what everybody else has got. Anybody can do a clothesline, a leg drop.
Stakes are high,
RVD
though,
does
right?
a 360 leg drop. RVD does that.
The stakes are high because people get hurt and people get killed and people die in what you do. You just, and this was a freak accident. You just lost a friend, Chris Candido, right?
Yeah, not in the ring, but yeah, Chris Candido is a wrestler that has passed away, and in the ring there's been lots of serious injuries.
What affected his death and the death of others, guys that you knew, that you grew up with in the business, have on you?
Well, I mean, with him, it really made me feel mortal in the sense that, oh my God, this happens in 2005. You can get a blood clot and just drop dead from a surgery you had like a few days prior, and you're feeling fine. Hey, 2005, that really happens? I mean, I just got operated on. They put me in that little recovery room. Oh, this is so you didn't get staph infection. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm sleeping anyway. But I never really thought how serious it was that I could leave there, catch an infection, and actually drop dead. You know, that's insane. Take somebody like Draws, very famous case, man. One time in the ring, he got slammed and landed on his neck wrong. He's a quadriplegic. He's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, operating like with a joystick or something. And this guy was a tough son of a bitch. He was a pro football player. He came to ECW after that, and then he came to WWE with these dreams of pursuing his career as a professional wrestler. Now he's in a wheelchair and he's not moving anything below his neck. So that goes through our minds. Yes, that can happen. Anybody that says, oh, you guys don't really get hurt, body slam them one time and then say, okay, now you tell me how fake you think this is. One body slam.
On that note, we go to break, beautifully expressed with Rob Van Dam. And we always let our viewers express their feelings. And here's a question for you. Hey, Rob, as much as I love the Van Daminator, the Van Dam lift is the craziest thing I have ever seen. I can't believe you didn't injure yourself.
Yes, well, this isn't recommended for just anybody to try, but I'm doing...
Here it is.
Oh, sweet. Doing the splits with my legs up there on the benches. Here's the trick. It's lifting the weight. It's not holding the weight, but you got to pull it off the ground without falling on your face. You got to be strong. It takes strength to be able to lift a dumbbell that's 166.5 pounds.
I believe that dumbbell, not the only dumbbell in that ring. More OTR in a moment. Top of the ladder? Are you afraid up there?
I'm concerned that the ladder might not stay in its position when I push off.
So it's not the impending fall that actually has you worried. It's the faulty equipment.
Well, it's the fall that's going to come after the equipment falls.
You love watching that stuff, right?
Dude, of course. Nobody's going to bring that action to you like
maybe
RVD.
Edge.
Edge is one of those guys that looks back at the ECW era and regrets that he wasn't there.
He wasn't old enough.
Yes. It wasn't that long ago, too. ECW changed the business for sure, and if it hadn't, Edge never would have had a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Let me throw out some names for you then, and just give me a comment. We do this with all the wrestlers' name association. Edge.
Great. Edge. Canadian.
Stone Cold.
Redneck.
Paul Heyman.
Genius. The genius.
Vince McMahon.
God.
I was wondering where you would go from genius, and you did come up with
Nothing
something.
but respect for that man. He's the best role model for the entire dressing room.
Jay Moore.
Hilarioso.
I have no idea what that means, but that's okay. Jerry Lynn.
Jerry Lynn, skillful.
Sabu.
Genocidal.
That's
Getting slower.
That's a great word.
Yes.
Bill Alfonso.
Right down the middle, Daddy.
What's your fascination with comic books?
I've been a fan since I was like 6 or 7 years old, and my entire life I've always read comics personally, thrown my collection out a couple times throughout the years, kicked myself in the ass afterwards. And a few years ago, someone hit me with an idea of me being like one of several silent investors in this comic book shop. And when I'm out on the road, like in Toronto, I've gone to many comic shops here. If I have a little extra time, which is very rare, between the airport and the arena, I hit a comic store. I try and look at them in all the towns. And
so your store is in Los Angeles.
I opened up my own store with my own name on it, said, forget being a silent partner with somebody else. RVD's 5-Star Comics and
So
Wrestling.
you invite anyone to come down to your store,
Absolutely.
check, talk comic books if you're there, and you're there from time to time, right?
Yeah, I'm in there like at least every week because I live in LA.
And on your website, they can find out what's available?
Absolutely, 5starcomics.com. It's a place I also open up because I like doing appearances where I interact with the fans. Love it. I do it all the time, and it's one of my favorite parts of my job.
Are the wrestlers show up?
Absolutely. If you look at the website, you'll have a list of the past guests. I've had
I got to
almost
say, I
everybody
have
there.
loved doing the show. You're a fascinating guy. You're a
Thanks
bright
a lot,
guy who's
man.
given it a lot of thought, and it's a treat to have you on Off the
Maybe
Record.
I've changed the standards of your show by being here.
The question is, which direction, up or down?
Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks, good friends, see you tonight. Michael Landsberg's clothing provided by Victorinox, Swiss Army. Available at GEO Everything for travel in Edmonton and better retailers across Canada.
He's been opened up. Oh! And the Van Daminator.
As Jeff Hardy, steel chair in hand, and look at